Hello again, Booktube. My name's Daniel. Welcome back to my channel. Guilty Feet. I've got no rhythm. And today I'm here to do a tag about tags. And this was originated by Roz at Scallydandling about the books. So Scallydandling about the books. So thank you for that, Roz, and thank you for making your channel name so difficult to say with these teeth. And in classic tag style, I have been tagged by two different people. Now this is, for those of you who know anything about tags, this is exactly how tagging works on Booktube. So there is a tag originator who gives birth to the next generation of taggees, and who then in turn go on to tag people. And often there is a crossing of the tag streams, and so from two different directions I've been tagged. Absolutely classic Booktube tagging. So thank you for that, for illustrating that, to Courtney who tagged me, and to Hannah at Hannah's Books. You know, just a perfect introduction to this meta tag. And the first question is, did you do the Booktube Newbie Tag? And if not, blah. Well, I did do the Booktube Newbie Tag. It wasn't the first video I made, it was the third video I made, and this was a calculated move on my part. I figured that I'd watched a fair bit of Booktube, and people were saying, you know, when you start doing Booktube, you should do the Booktube Newbie Tag, and then you should also make you should watch other Booktube Newbie Tags, and those are going to be one of your cohort of friends, peers in Booktube, people who start at the same time. It's a great, and it's actually terrific advice. And so I watched a whole bunch, but I figured rather than do the Booktube Newbie Tag first, I should have another couple of videos that if people do search for the Booktube Newbie Tag and they do want to watch your Booktube Newbie Tag, there's also other content already in your channel for them to watch. Now, we're talking about maybe 20 people if you're lucky, but that was my thinking. So it was actually the third video I made, and I was being weirdly calculated about it. The other thing I did, which I don't know etiquette-wise how great this is, there is the Booktube Newbie Tag, and there is something else somewhere in the annals of Booktube as the new to Booktube tag, and they're two slightly different, slight variations on the questions, and I kind of mashed them together and took the questions that I wanted. Again, I'm not sure how politically correct it is to leave out questions or to mash up tags, but I kind of did that. So I left out some of the questions altogether. I didn't ask the question, what advice would you ask to other booktubers, because I didn't know, and I'd been watching a little, and I thought it was a bit sort of craven, and so I left that question out deliberately. But I did ask the question, which is the sort of really dull one, and I gave an equally dull answer of what you can, you know, what do you new and exciting things do you bring to Booktube? It's a tough one to anyway. So it's a great tag. I think it was a key part of getting involved in this whole thing. So I recommend everyone to do it. And do I watch newbie tags? Yeah, I kind of do. Like the advice was to look for other peers. I've been doing this for like 2.5 months. I still consider myself new, and I like to see what other people are doing. Not every newbie tag is someone that I'm definitely necessarily going to be interested in, because I think we're in a sort of niche in Booktube, and so if someone new starts talking about the books they're reading in high school, I'm not in high school, or they're very focused on particular high fantasy series that they're on book 28 of, not something that I'm necessarily going to be interested in following, or they're doing another roundup of their top 5 Stephen King books. You know, at least I've got that marker, so I say, you know, but someone comes out with something interesting and starts talking about David Foster Wallace and Batman and a play they've just read and a poem they're struggling with and the decision they're going to start reading Thomas Hardy, and then there's that gold where you find somebody who is someone that I want to follow along with. Tag emotions. What feelings do tags provoke in you? Tag joy and delight, boredom and resentment, guilt or anxiety. I was very suspicious of tags, even as I was watching before I started making videos, because of the performative aspect of it. and I hadn't decided when I made apart from the Booktube Newbie channel, Newbie Tag, I hadn't decided if I was going to participate in other tags, and I guess part of that is I didn't know if anyone would ever tag me. So, so obviously I could be, I'm not really that into tags, and because if nobody tags you, then you're kind of not really invited to the party. So, and then I did get tagged in something by someone I had, encountered because we watched each other's newbie videos, and it was like, okay, someone's tagged me, and I should probably tag. So there was a certain amount of, I have been invited to this club, rather than just forcing myself in the door and making videos and hoping people pay attention. So I wouldn't say I necessarily had any anxiety about it, but I had some doubts about it as a format. And some of those doubts continue about certain types of tags, but the idea that it's a way of participating in a community is very appealing in a way that I didn't necessarily wholly understand before I started participating in this community. Tag favorites. What kind of tags do you like most and least to do and watch? Okay, so this is where I still have some concerns about tags, and this is not. The concerns aren't about tags and people doing tags. The concerns are about me and me doing tags, and I will try and explain, because I thought about this a little bit before hitting record. Unlike some, there are two types of people in the world, I guess, and on Booktube there are several types of people, and I am not an introvert. I'm not burdened with any particular shyness, and I have an ability to talk almost incessantly about myself. So it's a combination of extrovertedness and egomania, and my concern with some of the tags that are just asking questions about you and what do you do and getting to know the booktuber. That's kind of my concern, is that I have endless amounts of stories to tell about myself, all of which I think are utterly fascinating. And one of the humbling things about being a spouse and a father is learning that not every single thing you say is as quite endlessly fascinating to others as it seems to oneself. And my concern is if people just ask me questions, what do you do and where do you live and I can talk about myself for hours, and so I am I think appropriately suspicious of those kind of tags, because I'm not sure how entertaining that would be for anyone other than me. The tags that I kind of am more drawn to are the tags that suggest books that meet these prompts, or so where I have to look at the questions, plan it out, go to my shelves and pick out a bunch of books, stack them up next to me, and for each one say, this is the most hated book featuring a vegetable, and hold those up and talk about them a little bit. I'm not just going to hold up a book and then fling it. I like to talk about where I got it and what it. So those are things that sort of appeal to me more, because I think they hold me to a standard where I have to be more intentional and more deliberate and less. Let me tell you something else fascinating about Daniel. So it's not my problem with those kind of tags, and maybe I'll do some of those 20 questions tags and talk a lot about myself. But I always think about not just this community of people watching them, but people that I know in real life who may at some point, if I ever reveal that I'm doing this, watch these videos and probably pretty fed up of me droning on about myself and some of my weird quirks, which no longer seem weird because I've been talking about them for 30 years. You guys may think that's new and exciting. Plenty of people in my world do not. So that's my thing about tag favourites. I like to watch those. I do like hearing about other people more. They work for me, the people who consider themselves more introverted, who then talk about themselves and use this as a forum to tell you something about themselves. you brush past me in the street, I'll tell you something about myself. It's not, I don't need this trigger necessarily. Anyway, tag style. How do you tag? Do you have a system for keeping track of when you're tagged or tags? Do you prepare for tags? Just wing it. So I've been tagged. I'm still new, so I've been tagged a couple of times, and it's just really fun. And to be tagged, it feels very inclusive. It feels like a warm hug, and I do not. My life is great. I'm really in a good place, and there is still this wonderful affirmation that this community gives that I find very moving. That I very much appreciate. Do I keep track? Yeah, I kind of tried not to let it. I'm not trying not to get any kind of anxieties. There's things I've been tagged which I'm sure I've ignored and forgotten, and then sometimes something catches my eye and I think, oh yeah, I want to do that. Sometimes I've seen a tag and jumped on it very quickly, and then like this one, this must be the third or fourth generation already of this tag, which only started in the last week or so. And so the number of people that are going to carry on watching this as the 18th version of this tag I know is limited, but still fun, and I want to. It's important to me to appreciate the people that tag me and the people that tag me, and honour this community. I like that aspect of it. But if I missed it, I missed it. I'm trying not to get caught up in it. Do I prepare things or just wing it? So I made some notes. I made some notes about the people that I'm going to tag. I made some notes about tag etiquette. Because that's kind of one of the things that's worth talking about, which does can have a little anxiety about it. So maybe the first tag I didn't tag anybody because I didn't know anybody, and why should anyone want to be tagged by me? Then later on I thought, well, do I do the cop out? Everyone who watches this is tagged, and cop out's not the right way. I think that's legit to do that. I didn't necessarily feel legit doing that. I felt it was a cop-out for me in the first thing. So then I had to sort of be deliberate about, well, who am I going to tag? And then what does that say about me? And if I tag a certain kind of booktuber, of which part of the people who I have interacted with on Booktube are younger than me and female, and if I then tag 4 women who are younger than me, what is that creepy? And does that seem like, oh yeah, I'm trying to make friends with, and I'm a lot of these things. So there's some anxiety around that tagging and what it means, and who I haven't tagged, and do I tag someone twice if I've already tagged them once? And if I tag someone and they don't do the thing that I tagged them to do I tag them again in something else, or do I think, well, this person really didn't like? There is some of that anxiety and that worry about the tagging process and tagging etiquette that goes into the process, and that's something that I'm dealing with and thinking about and processing and wondering and questioning, while still trying to have fun and be lightweight about this thing. I'm a fun and lightweight, at least metaphorically speaking, kind of chap. So there's that. I like all the formalised tag etiquette, where you acknowledge the person who came out with the tag, you acknowledge the people that tagged you, you put in links and you put the questions in, and I like all that kind of aspect of things, because I just think it formalises things and makes it easy. And so again, as joining in a community, and I'm still very new to this, that there are formalised ways of doing things is helpful. And I think, and some of that I don't think has been touched upon in some of the other videos I saw about tags. It's a valuable procedure in joining a community where that has its own rules and has its own hierarchies of people who tag and people who are tagged, and then reducing the gaps between those groups, I think is a valuable enterprise, and one of the parts of this community for which I'm grateful. My phone shut down, and that's where I keep the questions. 1 second. Yes. Tag memories are the tags you've watched, done, or created, which have stuck in your memory. I only created one tag, which again was a calculated decision at a relatively early stage in my career to see what I could do. I've interacted with some people, I've shared comments back and forth. Some people have acknowledged me and been very kind, emailed with a couple of people. So I thought, okay, let's see if I can create a tag and see if there'll be any impact to this. And so I based it on a conversation that I had with a channel and mentioned them. And so I was. Some of this is calculated, and which I hope is okay. I'm thinking, okay, so you want people to notice so that you can make further contributions. So I was kind of calculated about mentioning Scott and Nell, who are kings and queens of tags, and I thought, well, I'm going to put this in front of them and acknowledge that this came out of a conversation that I had with them. The people I tagged in the video were people I had interacted with and been friendly and welcoming to me. The tag I created using a neologism, which makes it easier to search in YouTube. So it's the effed up book tag, EFFTUP, and therefore I can keep track more easily of, is anyone else doing this tag? Has this achieved any kind of currency whatsoever? So that again was a sort of deliberate and calculated, possibly craven attempt at just being able to track whether there was any value here, and I had a blast. So it was my kind of tag, which I guess is a good way to do it. It was one of these things where I brought out a bunch of different books that I had lined up to answer the questions, and I think the people that did it, first of all, was I found tremendously gratifying that people I tagged did it, and then they tagged other people, and those people did it and spoke about it and found me through the links that other people have put out. That was just a really exciting process every day, typing in the name of the tag into YouTube and seeing if someone else had done it. And then that ripple effect, that third generation of people who I didn't know, who were tagged by other people and who did the tag, was really exciting. So that was fun. Tags that I watched that stuck in my memory. Well, look, one of them has fallen out of currency that I kind of really want to do for a number of reasons. Is has Steve read this tag? That was one of the ones I watched. I watched a whole bunch of those, and I watched Steve Donahue's responses to them, and I often find myself staring at my book saying, I wonder if I could revive this and pull this out and hit a perfect score and find and I don't want to make it too difficult. I don't want to only do sort of weirdo things which I know he hasn't read. I'm not going to pick books in Hebrew or prayer books that I've got lying around, or versions of the Haggadah. I want to be fair, so I don't want to only pick 10 obscure cricket books, and really sort of making up these rules in my head of how I would do it. So that's really stuck with me, and it's and also, like everyone else, I want to get on Steve Donahue's radar because he was the first person that I saw doing stuff and wanted to impress, and the very first person that I sent my first video to. I emailed him and said, I've just done a video. I'd love you to look at it. It's an hour long. You have to watch all of it. And he very kindly responded to me and was encouraging, and I carried on. So I think about that one a lot, probably more than is healthy. And that's, I think, it. So I'm going to tag some people, and again, going back to classic meta tagging about tags. So the first person I'm going to tag is Carrie at Very Literary Carrie, because Carrie was the very first person who tagged me, and she's great. Her channel is great. Everything she puts out is like super fascinating, thoughtful, deliberate, and just fine consideration of the books that she's interested in. She has a sort of weirdo, sorry Carrie, a weirdo obsession with JFK, which I find utterly endearing and fascinating. Amongst all the other things she's reading, she's always focused on John Fitzgerald Kennedy and his place in the world, which is just absolutely really interests me and piques my has my eccentric bell going off. So Carrie, I hope I haven't said anything over. She's great. Go find Very Literary Carrie. She's got a great channel and always worth following. So now I've got 3 more tags. First one is going to be Hannah at Let's Talk About Books Baby. This is again classic meta tag. Hannah doesn't do very many tags. I think I could only find one in her history of videos. So this is tagging someone who probably is never going to do this. 2, today is March 10th, which if you follow Hannah at Let's Talk About Books, you know that she's otherwise engaged today, so she's probably not even going to see this. Like, I know she's told us that she's busy, so I want to tag Hannah, wish her all the best, hope the day goes well for her, and that the follow-up goes as quickly and speedily and as happily resolved as possible. Sending love and healing vibes to Hannah at Let's Talk About Books, baby, in the guise of a tag. See? And the other one I want to tag is CJ Reads, who also doesn't really do very many tags, from what I can tell, but created a really good tag, which is one of the tags that I did, which was the Could Do Better book tag, which is all about book covers, which was really fun for me because it was a chance to talk in depth about superficial things, which is kind of my wheelhouse, or talk superficially about deep things. Either way, that kind of mismatch and misfit is kind of how my brain works. So shout out to CJ Reads, also, who probably doesn't do tags and couldn't care less about this, but I'm tagging you. And then the last tag person I'm going to tag is the Queen and King of tags, Scott and Nell at Gunpowder Fiction and Plot, and I'm tagging them knowing that they have already done this tag and therefore not going to do it again. And again, this is a classic part of the tagging process where 1 or 2 generations removed from the original, someone gets tagged who's already done it, and then they have to comment below saying, oh, we already did this tag, we were tagged by so-and-so, and so I'm referencing that, deliberately tagging someone who's already done this tag way before me, were higher up the chain, and doesn't need to do it again. So thank you very much. That is the tag. Thanks to Ross for coming up with this, and thanks for watching. Ta-ra.